So let us this is what is it? This is the mole and this is first difference will be like if you remember homogeneous nucleation means the probability of nucleation is same everywhere inside the liquid. Right? Anywhere it can form. But if I am talking about heterogeneous nucleation, it means the probability is not same everywhere, but it is higher somewhere. Right? The best example of heterogeneous nucleation will be suppose here. Fine. A nuclei has formed along the mold wall. Right? So it is okay. That means probability of nucleation is higher along the mold wall. Why? Because the solid surface is already available. A solid want to form from a liquid, and a solid surface is already available. So on that solid surface, a tiny solid particle will form.
So driving force also.
Driving force is available. Yeah, you can say. Right? Less amount of energy will be required for that. It is okay, but if I am talking about homogeneous nucleation, for example, it will form over here. Okay, inside the liquid itself. Or otherwise it can form over here. Mold wall means any solid surface, right? Suppose you have a inoculant, for example, this is an inoculant, or this is an nucleating agent also. Nucleating. Inoculant. Inoculant or nucleating agent means that is a foreign particle. Is it okay? That is a foreign particle. And you have to remember that inoculant or foreign particles are intentionally added. If you remember why? Because we want EQX grain at the end. Right? We basically add a very little amount of inoculant into the liquid, like in ppm level, parts per million. Can anybody think why it is added a very small amount? If I will add a lot of inoculant, what will happen? Property will be changed because liquid metal is something else, but inoculant is something else, right? So at the center of the each grain, inoculant will be there. Right? You understand? Because growth will happen on this one. This is your final grain, but in center part is the inoculant. So that's why we add a very little amount of inoculant, and that should be uniformly distributed inside the liquid. So everywhere nucleation will start, and it will end up with EQX. Right? So this is again a heterogeneous nucleation because already a solid surface is available. On that, nucleation has happened. Inoculants, you have to remember, inoculant means their melting point should be higher or lower or same as the higher. Obviously, it should remain in solid, right? The molten metal melting point and the melting point of inoculant, if you compare, inoculant melting point is higher. It should remain in solid. So that's why it will provide a solid surface. Okay, right. So that means along this inoculant, the nucleation is preferential. Okay. Any impurity atoms will be there, for example. Any impurity atoms whose melting point is higher again. Over that, nucleation may happen. But anybody remember in the class I told you once, if I am talking about solid to solid transformation, where the nucleation will happen in case of heterogeneous nucleation. Very good, grain boundary. Right? So this is a solid. These are grains, for example. These are multiple grains. So maximum chance is that nucleation will not happen here, or it may happen either here. This is what? This is the junction. This is one grain meeting, second grain is meeting, this grain is meeting, and this grain. Four grains are meeting at a point. So energy will be maximum over here, right? and or it may happen. Just have a look over here. This is a simple grain boundary, but this is a junction. Multiple grain boundaries are meeting, so it is a junction. So that means if you have to remember, if you compare the energy of this one will be maximum, then this one and this one will be minimum inside the grain. Right? So grain boundary have maximum energy, and if many grain boundaries are meeting, that is a triple junction, or you can say that have maximum energy. So over there, that means energy is already available, so it is easy to form. Nuclei will be easily forming over there, right? So this is again a heterogeneous nucleation. Okay, fine. Let me talk to you something about defects. We'll study that in the coming lecture. Crystalline defects or lattice defects. Like dislocation is one of the defects. You have heard about this? From which subject you have? Chemistry. Sorry. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, you have some idea about that. Okay, anyway, dislocation. We'll study in details. Without dislocation, metallurgy is incomplete. We'll discuss that. Very interesting. Anyways, so if dislocation will be there, that is a defect, and around a defect, energy is higher always. You have to remember. Around a defect, energy is somewhat higher compared to other area. Defect will not present everywhere inside the material. It will present in particular regions. Maybe it's somewhere else, anything, anywhere else, right? So on that defect, nucleation happens again. So that is basically solid to solid transformation, right? You have to remember. If you are deciding about solid to solid transformation, then either nucleation will happen on the defects, or it may happen in the triple junctions, or it may happen along the grain boundaries preferentially, and that is again heterogeneous nucleation. The probability is higher over there. It is clear, I think, right? Homogeneous means it can happen anywhere inside the grain or anything, right? Okay, done. And again, another difference you remember, for this case you need higher undercooling. Delta T should be higher. Delta T is Tm minus T. Right? So this is Tm. Suppose this is your T for this one. So you can see this is a gap. But for this one, suppose this is Tm, this will be your T. Right? So undercooling will be higher here. You have brought the liquid very below to the melting point. So more under delta, this is the delta T. This is the delta T. Okay? Why? Because homogeneous nucleation requires more energy. Right? So more is the undercooling, more is the energy available in the system now. It can form. Okay? So these are the basic differences. Okay. And another interesting point you have to remember, this one, R star. R star. What is R star? The critical size of the nuclei. Right? Always the nuclei should be greater than R star, then only it will grow. Otherwise it will dissolve again in the liquid. It is okay, always this is the condition. That means R should be greater than R star. This is the condition for the growth, always. Okay. So you have to remember, okay, let me ask you a question. Just have a look. In both cases, the volume of nuclei are same or different? Suppose I am comparing this one and this one. Different, very good. Because in the homogeneous nucleation, it is a complete sphere. But that is not a sphere, that is a cap kind of thing. That is spherical, but it is incomplete one. If you want to complete it, then you have to do like this. Right? So this is very simple, right? So you have to remember the volume of the homogeneous nuclei is greater than volume of heterogeneous nuclei. Okay, I can write like this otherwise. B hetero will be smaller than okay. Before volume of the nuclei. Why? Because this is spherical and that is not spherical only. But another interesting point is, see, these parts are very important for gate examination. I am saying, right? Then, if you compare R star, then this is hetero is equal. You have to remember, this is equal to home. R star. Okay, this is important. Very important. For both cases, R star is same. That is, you remember what is the formula of R star? Minus 2 gamma by GS minus GL. Very good. Right? This is R star equal to minus 2 gamma GS minus GL. Gamma is the interfacial energy. Right? Anybody remember why this interfacial energy is coming into the picture? Why? Yes, a new surface is a solid is forming. Solid is the one different phase from liquid. So two different phases are there. So in between the two different phases, where there is a contact, that is the interface, obviously. So interface will provide you some energy. That's why it is the interfacial energy. Right? So and this one, Gs minus Dl is what? Gs minus Dl is what? Delta Gb is the volume change in volume created. The energy is associated due to volume because the sphere is occupying some volume. That solid has occupied certain volume inside the liquid, so it will provide some energy. Right? It is okay. So now, okay. F. What is that? Anybody remember? When a nuclei is forming inside the liquid, this is the change in free energy. Right? So I can write for delta is equal to, this is very interesting, delta G F homo into S theta. You have to remember this. And you have to remember this S theta is, or the maximum value of S theta is 1. So maximum chance is that the value will be in fraction. Yes or no? If maximum value is 1, so it S theta will be lying in the range of fractions, right? 0.9, 0.8, 0.5, maybe 0.2. Okay? So 10 into 10 is the fraction, and this is the situation now. So, and this one is what? This one is what? So that means for homogeneous nucleation, the variant is more, or for heterogeneous nucleation, the variant is more. Heterogeneous nucleation, the variant is less or more? Less. Very good. Because that is a fraction. Right? Delta G is nothing but, if you remember the graph, what is the graph? This is free energy versus R. Right? The graph will go like this if you remember. Because why? Because one plot is moving like this, and the curve is moving like this. This is the area, if you remember. So by R square gamma. Positive. Gamma is the positive, and this is volume. So by 3 pi m2 delta Gb or Gs minus Dl. You can Gs minus Dl or delta Gb, you can no problem. Right? So this is moving up, then going down. So remember why it is moving up initially? Because for a small r value, r square term is dominating, right? So it moves up and it reaches the maximum value here. Then when r value will be increasing, then r cube value will dominate. Here r cube value is here, right? So again it decreases. It follows this curve. So this is nothing but what? Delta Gf maximum. Yeah, delta Gf maximum. And I can write this one is delta Gf. Free energy versus R. Okay? Changing free energy, not changing free energy. Okay? So this is the situation for, suppose I am writing this is for homo, then hetero will be, okay? Now this is the gap, you can see the gap is less, but here the gap is more. So this one is for hetero. And this graph is clearly showing the energy barrier is higher for homogeneous nucleation, while for heterogeneous nucleation the energy is less. So that means what will happen? If barrier is higher, something will be difficult. That means that's why homogeneous nucleation is difficult. You understand my point now? Because always the nuclei have to overcome this barrier point. Already you have studied kinetics, right? You understand what? So barrier is maximum for homogeneous. That's why in the real situation homogeneous nucleation never happens. Basically, heterogeneous nucleation happens because barrier is less. Because nuclei has to overcome this barrier first, then only it is moving towards the negative. It's okay now? You can write that. Similarly, okay. R star is same and volume is greater for homogeneous, and these are the three important concepts you have to remember. This will be helpful for your GATE examination. Okay, you have studied about some contact angles. Anything else in the mineral processing? Acha, sir have started about that is source rotation. Okay, he'll start. Okay, anyways. Let me source rotation. I want to that. Okay, fine. So now suppose. Oh, fine. I am drawing. Suppose this is a phase. This is a particular phase alpha. This is a particular phase alpha. Okay. And it has to transform into some beta phase. Beta is another phase. Right? You have to remember, phase basically we represent phase in form of Greek alphabets. Alpha, beta, gamma, theta, delta, like this. Basically in mathematics. So alpha is there, and a new phase will come out due to transformation, that is beta. So now suppose heterogeneous nucleation is happening. So what I need? A solid surface should be there. So I am drawing a solid surface like this. This is a solid surface inside the alpha. Okay. Now beta is forming. Suppose this is beta. I can write this is beta, and this solid surface is suppose delta. Okay, it is fine. Anybody fine. Suppose that beta 1 is completely spherical. So contact angle is less or more? If that beta phase which is formed from alpha completely sphere, obviously less contact angle. Contact is very less, it is a sphere. Only the bottom part will touch the surface. But if it is a flattened one, so more contact angle, contact area is more, right? So if contact will be more, the weighting will be more or less? Good weighting? Good weighting obviously. So you have to remember, for heterogeneous nucleation, the contact angle should be D. Less will be the contact angle, what will happen? More will be the weighting, right? And more will be the weighting, formation of nuclei will be easy, right? You have to remember this one. And contact angle is represented by theta. I can write. So how I will draw? I will draw like this. Okay. And this is theta. Now this is the contact angle. So I have this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Three arrow I have drawn. So what I want to represent is, now I have 3 phases: alpha, beta, and delta. Delta is the solid surface, and beta is the transformation. Alpha is transforming to beta. This is the transformation, right? And we are talking about hetero. Yes. So now you can see. Okay. So at this point, at this junction, 3 phases are meeting. Yes, at this junction, 3 phases are meeting, and at this junction also 3 phases are meeting. Right? So at this point they will be in equilibrium. Right? And I can represent this one as gamma. Gamma. This is what? Alpha, and this is delta. Right? So I can write gamma, alpha, delta. This is the surface tension. Fine. And this surface tension will be. Can anyone tell me what is going to be this surface tension? Or integration energy? This is delta and beta. So it will be gamma. Sorry. Yes, gamma, beta, delta. Right? And what about this one? This is alpha is there and beta is there. Right? So this is gamma, alpha, beta. Very good. So these are the 3 surface tension I have shown you. Or these are nothing but the gamma is nothing but the introduction. No. Just have a look. This arrow is like this. So this is the interface. This part is alpha, and bottom part is beta. So it is right. But if you are considering this one, this line. This one is one phase and this one is one phase. Okay? Three surface tension or three interfacial energy gamma. Right? No confusion. Right? So this will be at this point there will be a equilibrium. So this is the resultant, for example, and this is one component and this is another component. So theta will be coming into picture and cos theta will be there, right? Because this has moved like this, right? So I can write gamma alpha delta is equal to this final component is equal to this plus this, obviously. So this will be gamma beta delta plus this component gamma alpha beta, but right? It is okay. Fine. They are in equilibrium, so this is matching, right? So now, and theta is nothing but the contact angle, right? Okay, fine. So now this is the new phase which is coming out from the alpha. So if you want to find out delta G beta, alpha beta. So this will involve two things. But it will involve two things. What will it involve? It will involve volume, energy, and surface energy. Both energy will involve. So volume will be how much? So I can write volume of what? Beta. Right? Volume of beta because this is a new phase. Like it is okay. So it will be pi r cube. But that is not completely spherical. So suppose you make it complete sphere, for example, like this. And this is the center. And this will be what? Radius, right? And this has cut the sphere over here, right? This suppose I will put over here, so I can put this surface anywhere inside the sphere. But now this is the situation, and only this part is available, not entire part is available, right? So theta concept will come over here. That is S theta. Now you understand why S theta I am writing. This S theta I have written somewhere else. Right? So that means this 4 by 3 pi cube will be there if it is completely sphere, but it is not completely sphere. It has cut by the surface and having an angle theta. So I am introducing a concept S theta over there. Right? But I will not derive that. But if somebody will ask what is S theta now, so it will be you have to remember that. You can memorize it or you can exercise it at your home. 2 by 3, sorry 2 minus 3 cos theta plus cos cube theta by 4. So you have to memorize this. What is S theta? S theta is 2 minus 3 cos theta plus cos cube theta by 4. It is again important for your gate exams. You have to remember this formula. So you can put over here. This is volume term. Now area term will be, if I write area of alpha beta, because alpha and beta, area of alpha beta will be. So I have two areas. Just have a look. One area is alpha and beta sphere, and the area is this one. That is beta and delta. Two areas are there. So I have to write for two areas. So A alpha beta, or I can write area of beta delta. It is fine. Two areas. Okay. So now area of alpha beta will be how much? That will be 4 pi r square. But that is not a complete sphere again. So I will introduce the term in terms of theta and theta. These you can write 1 minus cos theta by 2. This is the formula for area of alpha beta. Similarly, area of beta delta will be for this form now. Between beta and delta, right? There is an area that is 4 pi r square. No, pi r square. That is 1 minus cos square theta. So these are the formulas you need. So finally, write delta GF hetero. This is for what? This is for So that will be equal to volume free energy and area free energy, right? So I am not writing directly. I am writing the volume of beta phase. But what I should write now? Only I will write volume of beta phase, or I will add some terms for it. Delta GF for homogeneous nucleation is how much? 4 by 3 pi GS minus GL. So instead of GS minus GL, what I should write? Final product minus reactants, free energy product. So it will be G beta minus G alpha. Obviously. Yes or no? Right? So you can write G beta minus. Then volume free energy is done, and this is always negative. Why this is negative? Anybody remember? So alpha phase is disappearing. That alpha phase is disappearing, so that's why beta phase is coming. That volume will be occupied by the beta. If something disappears, energy decreases. If something come out and it creates a surface, then energy is added to the system always. Right? Okay, next is then what should I write? Plus area concept, area energy. So area is how much I am getting? A alpha beta, and this will be only area 4 pi r square gamma. Very good. So it will be gamma how much? Just have a look. Alpha beta, no, alpha is here and beta is here, and this is very good. Gamma alpha beta. Right now it is okay. Again you have to add other terms, that is area of what? Beta delta. Very beta delta. Again gamma how much? This is beta and this is delta. Beta delta, and this is how much? Gamma beta delta. But can anybody guess anything I am missing here? Any area is missing? Cos theta, no cos theta. Any area is missing? As I told, if a volume will be occupied by a different phase, initial volume will be disappear. That will give you negative energy. That is good for your nucleation. Obviously, your energy is decreasing, right? But when a new surface is created, that will give you positive energy. So it is not favorable for the formation of nuclei, right? So just imagine beta is forming from alpha, and it is occupying some space. So and the area will be associated with beta and delta, right? This beta, okay, fine. Okay, this area, that will be, I am writing directly here, minus, you can write area of beta delta gamma alpha delta. Alpha delta means alpha and delta. This is alpha and this one is delta. Well, so initially that means this nuclei is not there. Only delta was there and alpha was there, right? And nuclei is formed. So this much area will be disappeared. You remember what? Initially there was no sphere on this. So I have only interface of alpha and delta, right? A spherical cap is forming on it. Now, so what will happen? This much of area will get disappeared. So once something is disappeared, so that will give you negative free energy. So that's why I have written negative of that one. Right? Why? Can anybody guess why I have written beta delta instead of alpha delta? Instead of alpha delta, why I have written? Because same area, no? Alpha delta area which will be disappear, that will be equal to the beta delta. You are getting my point? Okay, fine. When it was not there, so this much of area is alpha delta. Right? Now it is forming. Beta is coming into picture. So this area will become now beta delta. That's why I am written directly beta delta. Instead of that, you can write alpha delta first, then you can again write beta delta and gamma alpha delta. So now driving force are what? What are the driving force here? So this is one driving force. Why this is negative? Negative. And this is Negative. This is negative. This is negative. But this one is positive. Right. So this is your barrier to the nucleation for heterogeneous nucleation. This is the driving force, and this is the driving force. So you can see more driving force is available now for the heterogeneous nucleation, right? Which was not missing in the homogeneous form. You understand my point? That's why heterogeneous nucleation is easy. And barrier is, you can see the graph, barrier is also less. I think this concepts are clear. Okay. Anybody remember how to find out R star? I think I haven't talked about that. I have talked about to the MTech student. How to find out R star. I have written directly minus 2 gamma by GS minus D. So for this one, it will be how much? R star will be minus 2 gamma, but right by GS minus DL. So it will be G beta minus G alpha, obviously. And how this is coming? Just you have to do derivation. Derivative. So you have to take like this: d by dr delta gf. Can you derive this one right now? Just write d delta gf by dr, where r is equal to r star. Write the previous expression. Just write delta GF is equal to, just write it. Delta GF is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube GS minus DL. Delta GF is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube GS minus DL plus 4 pi r square gamma. Now you do derivation. This d by delta GF with respect to dr, where r is equal to r star. How it will be coming? What? For that one. Four by r square ds minus dl plus 8 by R? Sorry. What? Gamma. This is right? Yeah, very good. Right. Now you replace R by R star. Just make the R star. All R will be R star. If you remember, R star is nothing but the maximum value, and you want to find out the maximum value in a derivative kind of thing. So you have to make it to 0. But that will be equal to 0. First convert R as R star, right? Then make it 0. So if when you make it 0, R star will come out, and it will come out minus 2 gamma by GS minus D. Just check it. Check it if you want, you can check it. Make it 0. First make this one is R star. All R will be R star. And make it 0. So you will find out R star is equal to how much? And again you take delta GF hetero D, sorry, like this. Right? So again this one will be, you have to do the derivation, and finally you have to make it to 0. Make R is R star, make it 0. You will again end up with this expression. Same. Minus 2 gamma alpha beta like this. That's why R star is same for homo and hetero. That's why. Fine. Anybody remember why I have written minus sign? Why this minus is there? Wait, just hold on. I am asking others. Critical radius. Radius never be a minus. Minus radius is not there. Always a positive radius will be there. Something is forming, it will have a positive radius. So why minus is there? Anybody? Any guess? Don't. Critical radius. A radius can never be a negative value. It will always be a positive. But it is minus. What? नीचे जो है फॉर्मेशन नेगेटिव रहेगा. Okay, fine. You also know that you are. Because GS minus CA will always give negative value. And upper part intentionally minus CA. Minus will cancel. It will give a positive R only. Right? You have to remember this value is always negative. That's why this is intentionally negative. So negative will cancel, it will become positive. because our radius will never be negative. That's why some people ask this kind of question. This is a critical question anyway. So I think so. We have completed solidification. Completed, right? Part of system, right? It's like you are talking about thermodynamic system or any system. It is a part of system itself, right? But suppose a system has two phase, right? So how you should define? You should define like this: a phase is a part of system which is physically distinct. By looking at those things, you can distinguish this is one phase, that is one phase. So physically they are distinct, right? And second one is there should be chemically homogeneous. Suppose alpha and beta. Alpha and beta both are two different phases. So alpha is physically distinct from beta phase. Then only you can say this is alpha, this is beta. Because both are physically distinct, right? Second one is chemically homogeneous. That means alpha should be chemically homogeneous and beta should be chemically homogeneous. Right? Composition should be different, alpha and beta. But if you talk about only alpha, it is homogeneous everywhere and beta is also homogeneous everywhere, right? Last one is they should be mechanically separable. You can separate two things. You can separate alpha from beta. Three things are important: physical, chemical, and mechanical. Again, I am saying phase is a part of the system which is physically distinct, chemically homogeneous, and mechanically separable. Best example I can give you: you take water and put an ice cube. This is very interesting. You take water in a container, you put ice cube. So ice is one of the phase and water is another phase. But both are H2O. Ice is also H2O and water is also H2O, right? But ice is a solid state. H2O is the liquid state now. If you remember, if you change the state also, that is a different phase again. So ice is one phase and water is another phase. I can separate ice from water. I can mechanically separate them. Right? And physically they are distinct. Ice is looking somewhat different, water is looking somewhat different. You can both are physically distinct. And you can mechanically separate the ice from the water, right? And chemically they are homogeneous. In water it is homogeneous and in ice it is also homogeneous chemically. So it's a simple definition. Physically distinct, chemically homogeneous and mechanically separate. Right? If you have three phases, so three phases will be completely different, they look different. Right? But if you talk about solid phases, solid materials, for example, in alloy, and alloy have two phases. So how to distinguish them? You have to again prepare the sample, you have to put under a microscope, then only you can see this is one phase, that is one phase. Suppose I will take a steel. Can I look different phases? No, never. Because those phases are in micron level. That's why those are called microstructures, if you remember. No, microstructure. Microstructures means those structures dimension are in micron level, 10 to the power -6 or maybe less than that. Some structures are nano, 10 to the power -9 meter. You can imagine very small things are present in the materials, but you cannot distinguish them by naked eyes. You have to use microscope. But for that you have to prepare the sample, which you are doing in the physical materials, right? Lab. If you have any confusion in physical materials lab, you can ask me, no problem, right? Anytime. Okay, anyway, so now it is clear, right? What is the phase? But now, suppose, okay, I'll talk about component. What is a component? Component is what? Component is a chemical species. If you want, you can write down. Component is a chemical species. Components are chemical species which define the composition of the system. Components. What is a component? Component is nothing but these are the chemical species which define the composition of a system. I think Manda ma'am have talked about some iron carbon. Right? So you are aware about that now. Anyways, so in an iron carbon diagram, what is the components? Component, I am talking ferrite is a phase. You should not be confused. Very good. Iron and carbon. Iron is one of the components and carbon is another component. So if you change the concentration of carbon, so obviously, right, different phase will come out. Anyway, so if you are talking about iron carbon system, so this is one component, carbon is another component. But if I talk about, suppose I have mild steel, right? So in the mild steel at room temperature, what is the phase? Mild steel means the carbon percentage will be how much? Very minimum. Mild. So the term is say mild. Mild means it is present in a small amount. Carbon is present in a small amount. That's why it is called mild steel. That steel has carbon, but carbon amount is very less. It is below 0.25. You can remember this one. If carbon concentration is below 0.258%, it is mild steel. So if you have a mild steel at room temperature, what are the phase? The phase are ferrite and cementite. Alpha is one phase and cementite Fe3C is another phase. So you understood? So confusion is what? Component is different, phase is different. Right? Component is iron and carbon, two components. Now if you talk about what are the phase, then two phase again. One is alpha and one is the Fe3C, cementite. Ferrite is alpha and cementite is Fe3C. You understood my point now? So these are the different. An interesting point is if you change the concentration, you may end up with different phase again. The phase may change. Similarly, if you change the temperature, what will happen? Phase will remain same or change? Again, it may change. Right? So that's why we have phase diagrams. We'll discuss that in the coming lecture. Right? We have one axis is the temperature axis, one axis is the composition axis. If you change the composition, you can change the phases. If you change the temperature, you can change the phases. And now what will happen if the phase will change? Property will change. Very good. Because always I told you, if you want to change the property, you have to change the structure. And different phases have different structures. Right? Structure means what structure basically? We people crystal structures or what? Or micro. Very good. These are two important. Not electronic structures, not atomic structure. Basically, we discuss crystal structure and microstructure. Right? You can see alpha and cementite under a microscope easily. Alpha will appear as like brighter, white things, but cementite will appear as darker. So they are physically distinct. Now you got my point. That's why there are two different phases. Under a microscope, alpha will appear as white, and Fe3C will appear as dark. So they are physically distinct. They can also mechanically separate, but we cannot separate it actually in real situation because they are so small, right? And chemically homogeneous because if you take alpha, everywhere the carbon concentration will be remain same and iron concentration will remain same. And if you take Fe3C, it is fixed. 3 iron and 1 carbon. Okay, this is the last topic I will discuss. I will take 5 minutes. You can try some examples. Example of phase and components. Phase and components. So I am taking first water and second I am taking brine solution. I am taking mild steel as I told. I can take ice plus water. These are the things I have taken, or I can this is fine, and I can take up to this point. So these are different substances. Now I want to find out components in this substance, and I want to find out phases in this substance. Right? So water, the component is what? Hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. So two components. Hydrogen is one component and oxygen is another component. Single component. Very good. Here, this is the confusion. That's why I am talking about this one. I have talked water. Water is H2O. Can I separate oxygen out of water? Never. So that is always a single component. Always a single component. You should not be confused. Maybe it is made up of 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen, but you cannot separate them easily, right? They always remain as 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. Always. It may be in solid, it may be in liquid, it may be in gas phase. Always 2 hydrogen, 1 separate. Okay. So this is one component and that is very good. And phase 3. It is water. 3 phase. It is water. Right. Again one phase that is very good. In the gate also these are the questions they will give you, right, to make you confused. I think Dinesh sir have talked about some Gibbs phase, F equals C minus B plus 1. Okay, I will discuss that again. Maybe in the coming days. Okay, so this is a brine solution. Anybody remember what is a brine solution? It is solid solution. NaCl in water. If you add NaCl into the water, it becomes a solution. But this solution is a liquid or solid solution? It is a liquid solution. You cannot see where NaCl goes. It will completely dissolve into the water, right? You cannot search. This is now NaCl. You cannot take it out. Already it is dissolved, right? So now what is the component here? What are the different components? Very good. So this is NaCl and so this is two components. One is NaCl, one is H2O. But now if I talk about the phase, then again it becomes liquid. Now everything gets soluble. So this is again you should not be confused between component and phase. That's all. But intentionally, if you are adding more amount of NaCl, it will become saturated. Further NaCl cannot be dissolved. So it may be again two phase. This is the concept, right? And now I is two. Very good. Iron and carbon. So two components. One is Fe, one is C. Now phase. Already I have told you. Just this. My still ferrite and cementite. Right. So this is alpha and this is ferrite. And this is cementite. So this is again two phases. Alpha is one phase. Right? Now finally I is plus water. So components
One.
components is one or two. H2O. It can be water, it can be ice. But phases one. Solid H2, I can write solid H2 and liquid H2. These are the configuration of the components in phase. Very careful. Suppose now I will talk about copper and nickel system. Then components will be two. One is copper, one is nickel. But if I am talking about phase, then you have no idea actually. We have to study about the phase diagram, then only you can understand what are the phases will be there. So okay, fine, up to this. Otherwise you can step out of this one.